They know what they want, and they know how to get it. French art masterpieces, millions in Japanese yen. In the dead of night, or in broad daylight. Dangerous, organized, and unpredictable. Who are they, and how can they be stopped? Interpol is on the case. Jurisdiction, the world. When crimes are committed, an international organization unites police officers to deliver justice. Interpol investigates. France, October 1984. After midnight. The small museum in the village of Semur-en-Auxois closed hours ago. But that doesn't stop some determined art collectors. The thieves have done their homework. The museum has no security system. No bars on the windows. Nothing to stop them. And they know something crucial that most of the town's residents take for granted. This unassuming little museum holds 5 masterpieces by 19th century artist Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot. They have never been on the market, making their value impossible to measure. A good job warrants a nice tip. One of the robbers takes it in the form of antique coins, snatched as an afterthought. With no witnesses, no bloodshed, and almost no effort, they accomplish their mission, snatching a treasure in art in a matter of minutes. The next morning, hours after the fact, a museum worker makes the horrifying discovery. He notifies the French gendarme, the military police that serve rural areas. Sergeant Jean Dassy takes the frantic call.
The phone call was short. We didn't get a lot of details. We just got there as soon as possible.
The forensic team scours every centimeter of the museum. They look for a dropped tool, a scrap of paper, anything to help them. But the simplicity of the crime makes it that much harder to find clues.
The only trace we found were shoe prints in the courtyard.
Francois! Viens voir.
The prints suggested at least 2 people made off with the paintings.
The gendarmes call on Inspector Toussaint Pogial from the Judiciary Police in Dijon. The commander in charge of art crimes is perplexed.
Most of the stolen art cases I worked on before had not taken place in museums because they're usually guarded.
But this obscure museum, open only a few months each year, had no guards, no alarm system. No one ever expected a crime like this.
It looked like local criminals couldn't have done it. We thought that a private collector discovered the paintings and may have hired some criminals to steal them.
Investigators conclude the heist took less than 30 minutes. The museum curator distributes pictures of the 5 stolen Corot paintings.
Inspector.
Then another clue turns up. A fingerprint on a window. Police try to trace it, but it points nowhere.
The problem was that the print wasn't in our files. It might belong to one of the criminals, or maybe to a museum guest. And we just couldn't tell.
Police faced the same dead end with the shoe print, which lacked detail.
We were really, I'd say, absolutely in a fog about who committed this crime.
Unfortunately, there's a very vast market for stolen artwork out there.
John Imhoff, former head of Interpol in the United States.
Art theft is a huge problem in and of itself, but it can also be attended to other crimes, such as money laundering. If you think about it, something of great value can be hidden in something very small.
The theft leaves museum officials baffled and embarrassed. The stolen Corots grab the attention of art experts from major museums. Though many of the residents of Semur-en-Auxois did not even know about the masterpieces prior to the robbery, the thieves had obviously paid close attention to their arrival here. In the mid-1980s, art theft had risen to an all-time high, thanks to a booming international black market.
After drug trafficking, after gun trafficking, comes art trafficking.
Mireille Balestrazi, former head of France's art theft squad.
There were a lot of works of art being stolen in France, and Interpol recommended that we create a specialized division of the police force with a specific mission of finding works of art. These works of art are a part of the inheritance of the human race. The thefts in Semur were like electroshocks for all the museums to equip themselves better for protection.
For most police agencies around the world, art theft takes a back seat to more violent crimes. But Interpol knows that thieves often sell stolen art to fund dangerous criminal and terrorist activities. For Interpol, an art theft of this importance demands fast action.
We needed help from the international community. We sent pictures of the paintings to all the countries that are members of Interpol.
Art changes hands every day. Interpol needs to be sure it goes into the right hands.
For title to transfer for a piece of artwork, you have to know that you have clear title in the first place, and there's no place else to establish that at the international level other than the Interpol Stolen Artworks database. If a piece of artwork has been properly registered in the Interpol database, there will be a sure hit that yes, this is a stolen piece of artwork.
Despite Interpol's worldwide search for the 5 Corots, the paintings are not recovered. The culprits have apparently gone deep underground, and their artful crime in Semur-en-Auxois is about to be eclipsed by one far more audacious. The painting, Impression Soleil Levant, Impression Sunrise. This iconic masterpiece by Claude Monet caused a sensation when it debuted in 1874. This is the painting that gave Impressionism its name. It is literally priceless. For years, Monet had kept the painting at his home in Giverny, France. Now it hangs, along with other national treasures, in the elegant Marmottan Museum, located in Paris's 16th district. Every day, hundreds of French and foreign tourists come to marvel at the historic painting. But on a bright Sunday morning in October 1985, thieves follow them in. And Impression Sunrise makes headlines once again. The thieves make a quick detour from the crowd. Before anyone notices, before the unarmed guard can make a move, the thieves strike, forcing everyone to the ground. Then they slice Impression Sunrise from its frame. October 27th, 1985. A daring daylight heist in France's Marmottan Museum. In just 5 minutes, the thieves make history. And a clean getaway. They make off with 9 masterpieces into the bustling streets of Paris. Art thieves, but no art lovers, the gang escapes with up to $20 million worth of paintings. They hastily slash masterworks, such as Renoir's Bather sitting on a rock, from their frames. But none can rival the loss of Claude Monet's Impression Sunrise. The theft rocks France, a national treasure stolen before their eyes. At the French newspaper Le Monde, investigative reporter Emmanuel Duroux.
The theft of Impression Sunrise by Monet is inconceivable. The loss of one of the most famous paintings of the 19th century and even of all time. So it really shocked the world because nobody thought that picture would be stolen.
What kind of criminals would do this? Who would dare commit an armed robbery in a museum?
Mireille Balestrazi, former head of France's art theft squad.
It was like violating something sacred. Nobody expected a robbery of this kind in France.
Investigators scour Marmottan, hoping to find some trace of evidence. But the thieves didn't even leave a fingerprint. Authorities find nothing.
The investigators had no real evidence, except for witness testimony.
But no one got a good look at the masked men. Witnesses describe the thieves as European. And the news only gets worse. Never anticipating such a bold crime, the museum turned off its security system during the day. No alarms, no hard evidence, and seemingly no hope. And for the knifed masterpieces, no insurance.
The Marmottan paintings are absolutely priceless. You can't put a price on something that is considered a national or worldwide artistic treasure.
The director of the museum makes a desperate appeal to the public for help. Art experts know that impression sunrise could be damaged by the humidity. When no respectable leads surface, cops tap the art community's shady underworld.
We had contacts in the art world where there are specialists who hear a lot of things, who see a lot of things, but who don't necessarily tell the police. We used many of these contacts to get secret information.
Police question art dealers known for fencing stolen paintings. But none provides any significant leads. The investigation stalls. The senseless crime baffles everyone.
Really, most of the works of art that are stolen are common objects of medium quality that are easy to resell. And you can't resell Impression Sunrise.
Authorities hope that such a high-profile caper can't stay undercover for long. What they're about to discover is that the key to Impression Sunrise actually lies in the land of the rising sun. In Japan, 13 months after the Marmottan heist and half a world away, a brazen daylight heist goes down. November 25th, 1986. Morning near the fashionable Ginza shopping district of Tokyo. Business as usual outside the Mitsubishi Bank building as an armored van arrives to deposit money. Then, out of nowhere, assailants attack the unarmed guards. They steal over 300 million yen, or about $2 million US. And with no one to stop them, the robbers speed away into the busy Tokyo traffic. A huge haul of cash, a clean getaway. It seems like the perfect crime. But Interpol is about to get involved and prove otherwise.
Okay, c'est pas fini.
Three bold and seemingly unrelated crimes rock two different countries. First, the midnight theft of 5 paintings by Jean-Baptiste Corot from a museum in the village of Semur-en-Auxois in France. Then, during gallery hours at the Marmottan Museum in Paris, thieves steal 9 paintings, including a priceless Monet. And now in Tokyo, in broad daylight, robbers steal $2 million in yen from an armored van.
This was a bold robbery being executed right in front of a bank.
Tomofumi Yamamoto covered the story for Japan's Asahi Weekly.
It was the biggest sum of money stolen in Japanese history. Everyone was shocked.
Tokyo, one of the most congested and one of the safest cities in the world. But even here, safety isn't 100%. The $2 million heist sends Japanese police into action. Inspector Yasunori Ogata is the lead detective of the first criminal investigation section of the Japanese police. The Tokyo Metro Police Department hit the scene in minutes to pursue the criminals. Within hours, they'd located the getaway vehicle. In an underground parking garage, they find the abandoned van. And inside the van, they find plenty of evidence, including a pillowcase, a sheet, masks, a large coat of a foreign brand, and a blanket with an address label sewn in. The blanket came from a store that rents bedding to people with unfurnished apartments. Among the 49 people who have recently rented blankets, they find a promising lead.
There were two Frenchmen who rented blankets. A leasing company normally would have checked their passports, but this time they didn't.
Investigators also learn that a foreigner recently exchanged a large sum of money, francs for yen.
50,000 francs.
1 million yen?
Yes, I need to open a French restaurant. I need to rent an apartment.
Passport?
Yes.
The teller made a copy of his passport, but police determine it's a fake. Their search for clues continues, and just 2 days later, they get another break. Near the Tokyokawa Inari Shrine, in another parking garage, police discover part of the haul the thieves left behind. 15 million yen, about $104,000. All in 1,000 yen bills. Inspector Uhei Tsukamoto, head of the fingerprints group.
The amount of money they stole was about 330 million yen. That's a lot of yen to carry around. I suspected that smaller bills, such as 1,000 yen bills, were getting too heavy to drag around.
Tsukamoto's department begins the laborious task of checking each bill for fingerprints. The department had recently developed new methods to speed up the process of fingerprint detection. They apply a liquid called ninhydrin to the bills, which they place inside a book that they then wrap in plastic. A microwave creates the humidity that develops the prints.
If we don't do this, it usually takes 2 to 3 days for the fingerprints to become visible. With this, it only takes us 1 or 2 minutes to get the fingerprints.
Even so, it takes the team 10 days to pick their way through the 15,000 individual bills, but it's time well spent.
We found 7 fingerprints on the new bills and 150 on the used bills.
Inspector Tsukamoto depends on the recently installed fingerprint database. But a comparison against 7 million prints fails to find a single match. The other evidence suggests that the felons are foreign. He needs a larger database, and he knows where to find one. Police contact Interpol. Interpol's international print database, headquartered in Lyon, France, gathers the fingerprints of felons in all its member countries. The organization comes through. Interpol identifies the suspects. Philippe Jamin, Richard Leroy, Youssef Kimoun, and Tifra Nordin. The 4 friends from the Aubervilliers area in Paris. All have prior criminal records for auto theft and drug trafficking. Acting on Interpol's info, Japanese police learn that the men have rented an apartment in Tokyo. But now they're missing. Inspector Yasunori Ogata discovers they left Japan on the same day as the Mitsubishi heist.
According to the immigration records, they went to Singapore. Since we knew that the criminals were foreigners, we started an international manhunt.
The Japanese police pursuit of the brazen Mitsubishi bank robbers will take them down an unexpected path. At stake is far more than the recovery of 330 million stolen yen. On the other side of the world, French authorities keep working to crack 2 cases of art theft. Months of searching have turned up no leads on the missing Corot paintings or on the paintings stolen in the Marmottan heist. As the months drag on with no apparent progress, Mireille Balestrazi and her colleagues at France's Art Theft Squad fear that the paintings will be destroyed through rough handling. Then, 7 months after the Mitsubishi cash heist, Balestrazi gets a glimmer of hope. Information that the Corot paintings are being held for ransom in Japan.
La piste japonaise est venue pour la première fois par
The Japanese connection came up for the first time when a middleman contacted the French embassy. He proposed to negotiate the return of the paintings in exchange for a payment from the French government.
The news that the paintings showed up in Japan doesn't surprise Balestrazi. In the 1980s, Japanese high rollers drove up the prices in the world art market. Newly minted millionaires craved lavish pieces that flaunted their wealth. And some didn't ask too many questions about where they came from. But art theft wasn't the only property crime. In October 1987, Tokyo police ramp up a manhunt for Shinichi Fujikuma, wanted for a $200,000 fur heist. Police want Fujikuma for information. They know he served time in the same French prison as Philippe Jamin, the suspected ringleader of the Mitsubishi heist. And they wonder if the 2 men became partners in crime. Police discover that Fujikuma works at a local restaurant, and they issue a warrant for his arrest. Caught off guard and with no place to run, he's taken into custody. Police have no idea they now hold a crucial link to an international crime spree that's baffled authorities for 3 years. Tokyo. Thieves pull off the biggest robbery in the country's history. But around-the-clock work by the Japanese police identify the men responsible. Philippe Jamin, Richard Leroy, Youssef Kimoun, and Tifra Nordin. Just hours after the $2 million caper, the suspects split up and flee the country. Now they could be anywhere. Authorities don't know it yet, but the Mitsubishi job is just the latest part of a bigger scheme that began in France 3 years earlier. September 1987. Japanese police arrest Shinichi Fujikuma, wanted for stealing furs worth over $200,000. Fujikuma has a long criminal record and ties to the Japanese mafia, or Yakuza. He confesses to police, giving up information on the Mitsubishi heist. His tale begins at La Santé prison in France, where he was serving 5 years for smuggling heroin. His gift for languages allowed him to commit crimes all over the world. Fujikuma met Philippe Jamin at La Santé. Interpol determines that Jamin ran a stolen car network with a group of small-time hoods who grew up together in the Aubervilliers area of Paris. Apparently, according to Fujikuma, Jamin had graduated to grander crimes. Jamin called on his old prison buddy to help sell off 5 Corot paintings he stole from the museum at Semur-en-Auxois.
Check it out, it's all good.
Fujikuma notices paint flaking off the masterpieces.
What about these two?
Jamin and his men had rolled them up incorrectly during the theft. But he agrees to fence them for whatever he can get. Fujikuma tells police that the plans to move the art didn't go smoothly. He could only manage to sell 3 of the 5 paintings. He goes back to Jamin and says he can't find buyers for the stolen art. Jamin, however, would not accept failure. He insisted Fujikuma had to make good on the deal, even if it meant paying for the paintings himself.
Just give me a couple days. I'll see what I can do. Right?
Fujikuma tells police that's when he decided to rob the first store. To get the money for Jamin, he sold the stolen furs and gave most of the money to Jamin. The transaction bore some unintended consequences. When Jamin saw how easily Fujikuma pulled off the robbery, he decided to pull off a robbery in Japan himself. He gathered Leroy, Kimoun, and Nordin and hit the Mitsubishi Bank, grabbing 330 million yen, or $2 million US. Fujikuma swore to police that he acted only as an advisor to the bank heist, not a participant. But police have no reason to believe him. Instead, they get a warrant and search his house, looking for a link to the Mitsubishi heist or the Corot caper. Instead, they find something even better. A catalog from the Marmottan Museum in Paris where the second art heist took place.
In the catalog were paintings circled in red.
A check with Interpol confirmed suspicions. These were the same paintings stolen from the Marmottan. The evidence ties Fujikuma, Germain, and the gang to France's second major unsolved art theft. Interpol issues red notices, putting the suspects on their most wanted list. Their names and photos are sent to police in every country that belongs to the organization. They also notify Mireille Balestrazi and France's art theft squad.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
The good news keeps coming. Authorities locate all 5 Corot paintings. According to Japan's good faith law, if a person holds on to stolen property for more than 2 years without its owner claiming it, the owner then becomes the new rightful owner. Poggial and Balestrazi head to Japan to try to bring the paintings home. But they need help from Interpol to navigate this delicate situation. Both countries belong to Interpol, but they have conflicting laws.
Thefts of artwork crossing international borders present a unique problem.
John Imhoff, former director of Interpol's U.S. office.
What may be a crime in the victim country may not be a crime in the destination country. Interpol can only enforce crimes by constitution that are a crime in both of the member countries.
French authorities ask Interpol to pave the way for the French to come to Tokyo to negotiate. In turn, the French agree to respect the Japanese laws as they travel east to attempt to recover the paintings. The suspects have ties to the Japanese mafia, or Yakuza, so a mob hit isn't out of the question. The Japanese police fear for the safety of their French associates.
We never felt that we were in danger, but our Japanese colleagues thought that we were. So they did everything they could to protect us, and they were always with us.
Brilliantly balancing legality with diplomacy, Balestrazi spends the next 3 weeks tirelessly negotiating the return of the paintings.
Madame Balestrazi negotiated like an expert, convincing our Japanese colleagues that we needed the paintings back in France.
Balestrazi successfully recovers 4 of the 5 paintings. But an art gallery owner simply refuses to return the last one, citing the Japanese good faith law, which made it his legal property now. But Balestrazi won't give up. She appeals to his personal honor, assuring him that his surrender of the painting will receive heroic recognition. At a press conference, the gallery owner handed over the painting and his ceremonial property title, allowing him to save face. The Corot paintings returned home to the museum in Semur-en-Auxois. The culprits have escaped justice, and a greater crime remains unsolved. Impression, Sunrise, and the other 8 paintings from Marmottan are still missing. French authorities believed that Philippe Chaman and his accomplices have everything to do with the theft at Marmottan. This gang of hardened criminals make a career out of disappearing. And when they do turn up, it's usually too late. One of the suspects, Richard Leroy, is shot dead outside his Paris apartment. Apparently, a professional hit.
In this case, many people ended up dead. Many of the people we questioned were killed. They died in violent ways, assassinated.
It's up to Interpol to track down the criminals, to save the paintings, and maybe a few lives. Interpol tracks a ruthless gang of thieves implicated in at least 3 major robberies. They've made off with millions of yen from an armored van in Tokyo, 5 paintings from one museum in France, and 9 paintings from the Marmottan Museum, including Monet's masterpiece, Impression Sunrise. One suspect, Richard Leroy, has been murdered, but 3 remain at large. Paris, France, 1988. 3 years after the Marmottan caper, French authorities make a breakthrough in the investigation. One of the suspects, Tifra Nordine, applies for a new French passport. But in a routine check with the police, authorities find his name in Interpol's red notices. When he tries to pick up the new passport, French police arrest him. Later, an informant tells police that the ringleader, Philippe Chaman, is hiding out in Mexico. Interpol takes it from there, working closely with Mexican police.
When a member country of Interpol learns that a fugitive is residing in that country, they have 2 challenges.
John Imhoff, former head of Interpol in the United States.
1, is this indeed the person who's wanted by the other country? And 2, are the crimes for which this person is wanted something for which we can extradite? Interpol supports that transaction by making sure that information is delivered in a timely fashion.
Agents take the suspect into custody. France and Mexico share no formal extradition agreement, but Interpol helps return Chaman to France. Mireille Balestrazi of France's art theft squad has waited a long time for this moment. She hopes Chaman will be the key to finding Impression Sunrise and the other 8 paintings from the Marmottan Museum, missing now for almost 3 years. But Chaman won't talk. Balestrazi turns to Interpol again. They help her obtain phone records from Tokyo. She discovers the phone number of a man who had once tried to broker a deal for Impression Sunrise. This man placed a number of calls to someone in the town of Porto Vecchio, in Corsica, an island off the coast of France. The man is Pierre Comiti, a part-time bartender. Balestrazi receives a tip he might have his hands on the Marmottan paintings. She travels to Corsica to chase the lead. She once again uses her powers of persuasion and tenacity. And Comiti leads her to the paintings stolen from the Marmottan, including Impression Sunrise. After 5 years of tireless effort, she prevails. The paintings leave Corsica and finally return to Paris. But the investigation frustrates authorities, who can't find enough evidence to charge the suspects with stealing the paintings.
We never had real evidence, simply a series of elements of evidence. Some witness testimony that, put together, made us believe they were the perpetrators.
Philippe Jamin and Tifra Nordine stand trial for the Mitsubishi robbery. But their fingerprints on the stolen money are the only evidence of their connection to the crime. So the men get convicted merely for receiving stolen goods. Their sentence is time served. To this day, Youssef Kimon has not been found. But for Mireille Bellestrazi, what really matters is the return of the missing masterpieces. She would soon join the organization that helped her find the paintings. In 2002, she joins Interpol's executive committee. Art theft remains a worldwide problem, fueling terrorism and organized crime. Right now, Interpol's database lists 11,000 stolen paintings worldwide. Many will never be recovered. But Interpol will never stop looking.